Sebastian, here with my co-host S.A. Baz Collins for this week's Written on the Edge Season 10, Episode 40 interview. We'll be talking with Jaye C. Watts and discussing their novel, The New Worlds. So let's get to know our guest. Jaye C. Watts is a queer and trans sci-fi writer living in ʷəŋən territory in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. He holds a bachelor's degree in sociology with a minor in technology and society, as well as a diploma in professional recording arts from the Art Institute of Vancouver. When he isn't writing, Jay can be found falling down rabbit holes of all kinds thanks to an unquenchable curiosity and lust for learning. Homeschooling will do that to you. Jay also loves classic jazz, mixing cocktails, biking all over the city, and of course, people watching. Jay, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So, in the midst of all of life going on, where did the passion to write come from? Like, where did that bubbling start?
hmm Yeah, so I don't actually have a background in writing. My creative background is actually in music.
Hmm.
So I've always had a deep, deep passion for music. And so I've gone to recording school. I went through classically trained piano lessons. And I was doing a bunch of songwriting, a bunch of gigging, and then got into teaching piano, which I really loved. But at a certain point, I kind of overloaded myself, especially while I was in university.
Oh no.
And so what ended up happening, it was kind of like bittersweet, was because I was so burnt out with teaching, I kind of like lost a bit of the passion for music at that moment. But during that time, I guess my creative insides had to have somewhere to go. So then this idea popped into my head, and I thought, oh, I guess that could be a really cool story idea. And so I just kind of started to follow that because I've always been a creative person. I always need to have some kind of outlet. So I followed it, and that rabbit hole ended up being 7 years long, and here we are now. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it.
Nice. Well, that's what we're here
hmm
to discuss today. The New Worlds,
hmm
book one, and it looks like a trilogy.
Yes, I have a trilogy planned. That's the plan.
Beautiful. So if I were to see The New Worlds on a book table and I saw that cover, it's gorgeous.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's not
You want to
my
take
cover. It
you
was
want to show
Mibble
it to
Art.
everybody?
Yeah, so that was Mibble Art. They're based out of Ukraine, and they are amazing. They did such a great job. I'm very
Mhm.
pleased.
So if I were to see that on a table in front of you at a, like I said, a book event or something, and I were to say, "What's this about?" What would you tell me?
Yeah. Yeah, so the story is it opens in the future, about 250 years into the future. And so that future is based in the New World star system, which is a sort of like a solar system with many planets. And how that came to be was our current world, pretty much as we are now, became so digitally siloed and polarized that the various factions within our society needed their own world to continue to function. So plurality became like a very dangerous thing in this world. So we ended up having to find exoplanets, so planets beyond our solar system, to house each of the various worldviews. Which at that point, because so much time had passed, their kind of worldviews become really their own truths. And so they see the world completely different from the other truths. So that's where this phrase, the truth of many truths, comes from.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah, and
all,
so
I was gonna say all human, no aliens.
yeah, actually all human. Yeah,
Love
I'm
it.
reading right now. I'm reading a book by DC Greshner, who's a local Victoria sci-fi author, and her book is filled with aliens, which I love, but I just don't quite have the biology background to figure out all that
You
that's
know what?
involved in
The way you
that.
just described it, though, each culture is alien to each other culture.
It's true. Yes, there is a line in the book that says we're all aliens. Yeah.
All right, all right. So, do you have a main character? Do you follow several characters?
Yes, I have the POV is from my main character, Axton Bryce. And she is part of the New World star system's government. And so she is what's called a mediator. And because the star system kind of runs on a resource economy, so they need all the worlds to kind of still be in somewhat of coordination with each other.
Hmm.
So they require mediators to kind of be that like small little bit of communication that is still very controlled, but able to help the worlds coordinate with one another still. So she gets to actually inhibit many truths, which is what's kind of almost at first it seems like a very difficult task, but in the end it turns out to be a bit of a superpower.
Nice. Do you have a neutral space that they all sort of have to share, or does she have to go from planet to planet?
Yeah. Yeah, she does have a stationary kind of place where she goes to where the New World's government is located. It's on the Middle World,
Okay,
and that's where she can commiserate with some of the other mediators who have to do the same very difficult task.
love it. All right. Baz, any questions?
No, I'm curious because you're calling it the New World Star System. So, is it here or is it a like humanoid existence, like out in the
Right.
ether, like a la Star Wars? You know?
Right. Yeah. So it's in the Milky Way.
Okay.
And it is approximately 250 light years away. So it's not super far, but it's also not very close. Yeah,
It's not a
it's
drive
just
around
far
the
enough.
block.
Not quite.
Not just gonna stumble over it in the night.
Yeah.
So, how is your background inspired this story?
Yeah, so that's a very big question because pretty much every part of my background and every part of me is in this story, which I think is probably true for a lot of authors. But
Hmm.
it's been like a very special way for me to just process all of that because I have gone through quite a bit over this short life of mine so far. I was raised in a fundamentalist Christian household with three other siblings, and we were all homeschooled for mostly religious reasons. So I did kind of like the if you read Axton's story, you really are kind of reading my story, but just dressed up a little bit differently because she also kind of grows up in this. She was chosen to be a mediator, so she
Okay.
didn't really have a choice in that fact. And she grows up in this system that is all very controlled. Everything that she thinks and believes is all very controlled. There's an indoctrination system that's involved with mediators. And so for her, it's almost a foreign idea to have an opinion because everything's been fed to her since since she can remember. And so that's something that I really relate to. It took me a long time after kind of getting on the other side of my upbringing to get to a point where I could think my own thoughts and trust them and also feel confident in developing my own opinions. So it's been really neat to watch Axton go through that and kind of be able to relate to her and feel excited to cheer her on and just kind of, yeah, just to see yourself reflected back at you.
Right, right. And that's incredibly important for so many people, especially
Yes,
our queer brothers, sisters, and theys.
yes, yes, for sure.
The other thing about this that caught me is it's got the label dystopian in there, and your background
Mm-hmm.
in sociology and technology and the combination. How have you taken the Earth that is and made it into an Earth that we don't want?
Yeah. Well, really, I mean, it honestly wasn't that hard because I just looked at the world that we have now
Uh-huh.
and
Right. I
kind
was going
of
to say,
took it.
are we there?
Yes, we're close. We're getting there. I just looked at the world we have now and I really just kind of took it to its logical conclusion, which really didn't take very long because I do think it's kind of, I mean, nothing's set in stone. We could still turn the ship around, but it will take some very purposeful intention. But yeah, to kind of come up with this world was not too difficult at all because I just am a constant worrier about the state of the planet, like probably many of us are nowadays. But yeah, also my background in sociology was my major, but I did a minor in technology and society. And I think, again, the reason why I was drawn to that minor was just because of the constant worries in my head. And I wanted to understand what was going on and how our technologies are more and more just dictating everything we think and do and how we experience the world. And that is a huge, huge part of the world building of the story.
Wow, that's powerful. Is there anything else about the New Worlds you want people to know that we didn't think to ask?
Hmm. Well, I do want to talk about just very briefly about uh, the part of the story that is also part of the job of the mediators is to be on the lookout for outliers.
Okay.
So that is briefly mentioned in the blurb, and that's like a main task of mediators. So when they're visiting a particular planet that has its own truth, they have to be on the lookout for people who go against that truth. Because plurality is the disease in this future reality. So any indication that there could be a plurality of thought, they've got to nip it in the bud. So all that to say, the outliers, they don't make a huge they don't play a huge part in book one, but they really are the heroes of the story, and they are who the book is dedicated to. So anyone out there who feels like an outlier, I think you'll hopefully enjoy this book and this series.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
now for the burning question, being a musician, if it
Mm.
were made into a film, who would score it?
Oh, yes, that one's an easy one. That would be Hans Zimmer. He's my favorite of all time.
Nice. Good
Did
choice.
Inception. Inception's a great one. Yeah,
Yeah, cool, very cool.
good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, well, it's just there are some really great new composers coming. I mean, because
Yeah.
Poor John Williams is entering his ninth
Yeah,
decade.
Yeah,
So,
true.
it's like, but it's funny because you listen, you watch. I don't know if you've ever seen on YouTube. Sometimes he goes out to like other countries and does a Star Wars kind of presentation stuff, and just to see the audience have this
Yeah,
recognition and just, oh yeah, this is, I love this, kind of thing.
yeah,
We've got to have a new crop of, like for
true.
me it's Abel Korzeniowski. I love his stuff because he just
Okay.
has such a really good handle on strings, and that's my favorite part of an orchestra.
Mm.
And because he's a cellist by nature, so it
Oh, wow.
just
Yeah.
like, yeah, so but that's his training background. But he writes some of the most interesting scores out there. He did it for Single Man and Penny Dreadful, the series. He did the music for that, so he's
Okay.
got a lot of
I'll
that
have
stuff.
to look out for him.
Definitely check him out. Yeah. No,
Nice.
I'm just curious because that lends itself to a film kind of option. It's like,
Yeah.
who would you
Yeah.
want?
Yes. Well, I mean, as I write, I'm always listening to music too. So I do have I have multiple playlists. I have some playlists that are dedicated just to the specific world when I'm writing in that world.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So music is hugely important in the story
Yeah.
for sure.
I write to a lot of film scores. I have a film score
Hmm.
playlist, and that's all it
Nice.
has, so totally
Nice.
get that. I just wanted to ask because you're the first person who seemed to have that track. And I'm like, okay, I got to
Yeah.
ask this.
Yeah. That's a great question.
Jake, can we dive into your work at the University of Victoria and the Transgender Archives? Because it feels like a resource
Yeah.
people should know about, and this was the
Yeah.
first I had heard of it.
Mm. Yes, so I've been working at the University of Victoria in the chair in transgender studies for about almost 6 years now, so for quite a while. And yeah, for people who don't know about it, which is still quite a lot of people, especially if you're not from Canada or the West Coast here, it's a research chair, so it doesn't issue degrees at this point. But it's been around we're hitting our 10-year mark coming up here. And it is the only chair in trans studies in the whole world. So it's quite a hub for scholars locally, but also internationally. People come from all over the world. We do lots of things, all kinds of stuff like scholarship programs. We even host an international conference every 2 years called Moving Trans History Forward.
Nice.
And the history, yeah, and the history component is really important because at the University of Victoria, there's also the Transgender Archives, which is the largest trans archives in the world. And so when people come from all around the world, they're coming to access that source material to write all the stories that have yet to be written or all the history that is yet to be written.
Hmm.
Um, so it is very, very exciting to be kind of in this global hub of trans studies here in Victoria, little tiny Victoria on this little island over here.
That's fantastic. So,
Yeah,
does the archives have a digital online component for people who can't travel?
yeah. Yes, yes. So we're digitizing more and more of our materials. Um, and right now we've got an entire page on our website that's called digital content. And you can access all kinds of things. We are about to add this long series of scrapbooks So this organization over a couple of decades, I think it was, ordered a service like a clipping service, which back in the day, that was like analog Google. You would hire people to look for certain terms in all these different newspapers, and then they would clip it and send it to you. So we've got a ton of scrapbook material with just anything that has to do with trans or transgender in newspapers from, I think it's in like the 70s and 80s.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and so we have more and more material being digitized, and we also have a discovery tool, which is like kind of like a Google for our periodicals that we're slowly but surely indexing some of the keywords so they can actually just be searchable.
That is
That's
amazing.
fabulous. Yeah,
And what a
Yeah,
absolutely.
wonderful celebration of life. I mean, kudos.
yeah, yeah, it's really exciting stuff.
Love it. Well, are you ready for our get to know you questions?
Yeah, I'm very ready. Those are
All
fun
right.
questions.
Well, before we get to that, just want to say if you enjoy the content that we're making here, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all the things, have a discussion amongst yourselves. But we are really trying hard to become a central repository for a lot of queer content creators and our allies who make content for our community. So if you can help us out financially, that would be wonderful by subscribing. That helps too. But also, we have a Patreon at patreon.com/wrote podcast where we have all kinds of stuff up there. We have full movie and queer TV series reactions that I do with Albert Nothlet. But we also have a new members level on our YouTube channel. So for 99 cents a month, you get full watch along reactions. So you have to have your copy of what we're watching. We give you like a minute of what we're watching to sync your copy up, and then you can watch the movie along with us and our commentary. So, if you want to help us out that way, just throw a buck our way every month to help keep the lights on because there are costs involved. So, with all of that said, can you name a movie that was better than the book?
Yeah, for that, is it okay if it's a TV show?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I would say for that one, The Handmaid's Tale, um, because I liked it so much that I actually haven't bothered to read the book. I don't know if that's really bad of me, but I almost kind of feel like the show is so good, I just kind of want to leave it as is. So I don't know if anyone, if
I
you have read the book or
I
if
have,
I really,
and
okay,
I will say that that they are like monsters, but are very they have their differences, not in a good or bad way. It's just there is a visually represented version in the book that isn't wholly the same as the series. So you get all of the feel of it, and then you get to
yeah,
see the recreated feel in a slightly different way than the way it's explained in the book. I mean, it is pretty true to the book. I mean, I'm not trying to knock
yeah,
that part of it out, but it does have its own variance that makes it kind of fresh as
okay,
opposed to what you read in the book. It's kind of like Man in the
yeah,
High Castle. It's the same situation
okay,
where it
yeah.
was just very much, the visual version of it can stand on its own and
Mm.
is pretty faithful to the original work. So it's
Hmm.
kind of along those lines.
Okay, maybe I'll
All
have to
right.
pick it up then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Plus, Margaret Atwood.
Yeah.
Love her.
Hmm.
All
True.
right. Which fictional character would you most like to be friends with?
Yeah, that one. So I would say probably Indiana Jones. And the reason for that would
Because you've always
be
seen yourself as Karen Allen.
yeah. Um, I would say because he's got sort of a nerdy side to him. He's a professor in archaeology, but also he goes out and does the adventures. So we could like talk nerdy, but then we could also go out on adventures together. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That is cool. Okay. Well, what is the most fascinating fact that you know?
Yeah, this one I would say has to do with space. And so the most fascinating fact that I know currently is that the solar or the Milky Way is filled with more planets than it is stars. And so we've got, I guess, 100 billion to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way. but they say we have actually up to 1 trillion planets in the Milky Way. So
Well,
that just
yeah,
blows my mind.
well, it kind of makes sense in a weird way in
Yeah.
that, we have our one star and then we have,
And then lots of planets.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say 9 planets, but people get
Yes.
freaky about Pluto.
Right. But yeah, that just breaks my brain a little bit to think about how many worlds are out there. It's just wild.
And then the other side of that, I got on QI, there are more leaves on trees here than there are planets, or it's like, what?
Right. Our brains are not made to hold this kinds of
To
information.
deal with those numbers. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
All right. So what was your favorite subject in school?
Yeah, favorite subject in school. That would be meteorology of all things. Later on I got really, really into like clouds and storms, and I was trying to like predict the weather. I bought this fancy barometer. And then once the movie Twister came out, then I was sold. I was like, I'm gonna be a storm chaser when I grow up now. That's decided.
Okay. With your history of music, I did not see that answer coming.
I know, it was a weird, I was kind of surprised by it too. I'm like looking at all these clouds, like, why do I find this so fascinating?
All right. Well, before making a telephone call, do you rehearse what you're going to say?
I think, yeah, I would say to an extent, but especially if I know I'm going to get the answering machine, then for sure I've got to put some thought into that, because if I get surprised by a voicemail message, that's like my
This is
worst
part one
nightmare.
of 7.
Yeah, I don't like that position. Like, because the talking to people on the phone is bad enough because you can't see them, but at least you're talking in real time. But a voicemail, there's just something so strange about talking to a machine that's not listening back. Yeah, it makes me
But they
feel
are
weird.
listening now. That's
Yeah.
the scary part.
Yeah, that's the frightening part.
That's true. Yeah, maybe it's a little different now.
All right. Well, what current event or causes are you most passionate about?
Yeah, that one I would say is probably an obvious answer. That would be trans rights, just because of where I work and also because of the state of things. I know, especially in the States, like it's like a whole different world there for you right now. And even just today, when I picked up my phone, I saw a news article about passports. So in Canada, we have the ability to put an X on your passport for non-binary folks, but apparently now they might have trouble getting into the States with that on their passport. So that just is, yeah, that's terrifying to me that we're at that point right now.
You get to the point where you're like, you used to wonder, gee, I wonder why the Germans just kind of fell into this whole fascist thing. And then you're
Yeah.
like watching news now, you're like, oh yeah, okay, now I get
Yeah,
it. Now I get how it happens.
It's chilling to be able to understand it from the inside now.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of Germans that are on YouTube going, did you learn nothing from us?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I always am hopeful. There's still hope.
Yeah.
We're in a dark period, but there's always hope.
Yeah, there's always hope. Okay. If you could visit anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Yeah, I would say I would go back to somewhere I had been just only 2 years ago. I went to New York City for the first time,
Oh.
and it was my favorite place in the world. I just think it's the most amazing city ever. It's so, so great. There's just so much I loved about it.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. When I was there, it just made me realize that you were in a city that didn't care if you were there.
Yeah. Yes, and everybody just lives and let lives. I
And
love
it's a
that part of
constant
it.
stream, and you're
Yes.
just in the stream, and
As
okay, this is what a salmon feels like.
And as a people watcher, that's probably why I like it so much. As a people watcher, it's just like it's a kid in a candy store. Yeah, it really is.
All right. Well, who, if anyone, was your first celebrity crush?
This one's a little embarrassing. I don't even know if I want to share it at this point. But do you remember the show Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman?
Uh-huh.
It was Dean Cain. Dean Cain.
Problematic, but yes.
Child.
Well, If it makes you feel any better, my first celebrity crush was Indiana Jones era Harrison Ford.
Yes.
So when you said that
That,
earlier, I was like, oh,
yes, very, very good, very good. But yeah, Dean Cain. Oh well.
Yeah, well, okay. That's all I'll say on that one.
Yes, yes.
hey, human attraction is out of control.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, true.
it's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
All right. Well, finally, what's your personal favorite recipe that you make, and are you willing to share it with us?
Yeah, so right now I have zero time to cook, so I'm not making anything in terms of food. But what I do make time for is mixing cocktails. And so I like to mix a lot of classic cocktails, but every so often I like to invent my own. And usually that happens around Christmas time. I like to invent a new Christmas cocktail and like come up with a name and everything. And so I've got to start thinking because Christmas is coming up. But last year it was a play on the Cosmo, and I called it the Clausmo,
Okay, that's cool.
Love
and it was
that.
delicious. Yeah.
What's
Well,
the
you should
basic
put it up on
flavor
a
profile?
YouTube channel.
Oh yeah. So in terms of like, do I share the recipes? A lot of them I do share on Instagram with a picture of the cocktail. So if you're interested, you can scroll down and find some of them.
There you go. There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you made it through our list. Bravo.
Bravo.
Woo.
So, Jay, do you have anything coming up? I mean, your book's about to release. Do you have a book tour planned
Yeah.
yet? Any meet and greets? Any bookshop tours?
Yeah, I'm not scheduled for anything like that yet. What I'm trying to do is just get through the launch. It's been a lot to kind of organize. I'm doing a nice party hosted by the Downtown Victoria Residents Association.
Nice.
So that's happening on October 18th at the Dock right downtown. And it's free and open to anyone in the public. If you live in Victoria and want to attend, you can just check out any of my social media. I've got Linktree in my bio, and the link will be there to register for the launch party. And then when it comes to releases, I am excited to say that when this episode airs, the ebook for the New Worlds will be available on Amazon. And just to celebrate, I am going to have a early bird sale of 99 cents for about the first week. So if your listeners are listening to this episode right when it comes out, they can go grab the book for 99 cents. And then the paperback will be available October 18th, the day of the launch. So that's kind of what I've been working on to kind of organize right now. But I do want to do a bit more, probably some blog tours and that kind of thing. So if you're interested in seeing more of me, you can just follow me on all my social medias. And I've got a newsletter as well to just keep up to date.
Perfect. Should they springboard off your website for that?
Yes, for the newsletter. Yeah, you can find that on my website.
All right. And links to your socials and your link tree?
Those will all be on my website as well. Yeah.
Perfect. And folks, I know if you're just listening and you're not looking at the page for this, Jay is spelled Jaye, C Watts with 2T's.com.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jay, any final words of wisdom?
Final words of wisdom. Let's bring it back
I gotta be smart too.
Yeah. Oh, let's bring it back to the hope piece. I am a writer in dystopia, and I think it is just because I'm trying to process all that's going on. It's not because I think things are bleak, they're ultimately bleak and hopeless. It's because I do want to have hope. I just want to understand what's going on so that I can do my part in trying to avoid what's happening in my books. And I think everybody is able to do even just a little bit to point our ship in the right direction. And I think we'll be okay if we can all just, play our part, however small that is.
You are a light of hope shining through the darkness. Thank you, Jay.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for listening.
Our pleasure. We at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. So if you enjoy learning about new episodes or hearing our thoughts on entertainment media, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. This show was produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen station, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.roguepodcast.com. Tune in next week for your queer media fix.
Bye-bye.
closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.